Welcome to the Burn Bootcamp podcast. I'm your host, Morgan Kline, co-founder and CEO, along with my husband and company visionary, Devan Kline.
And together, with our amazing team, we are going to help you push past your limits, not just physically in our gyms, but right here, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually on the Burn Bootcamp podcast.
Together, we will take on challenges and break through barriers to transform into the best possible version of ourselves. We are more than a gym. We are a community. Your community. Let's go, Burn Nation.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Burn Bootcamp podcast for another focus meeting episode. This focus meeting is with a dear friend from the Briar Creek Burn Bootcamp location in Raleigh, North Carolina. We got Jenn Robert in the building today. Hi, Jenn. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Really, really good. We're better now that you are here joining us on the podcast. I would love for us to just kick this off before we really get into the meat of how I can help you enjoy health and fitness and happiness more. That's really what we're going to cover. That's always the goal of the podcast, is to walk away with you and I both being better versions of ourselves for having a conversation with a whole new layer of confidence and some takeaways, some tangibles, or what we would call homework in focus meetings. But before we do that, Jenn, I'd love just to open the floor up to you and for you to tell us about your background, share your story, what brought you to Burn, and then maybe end on where you're going and what direction that you've chosen for your life.
Cool. Sounds great. So yeah, I'm originally from outside Philadelphia in Doylestown, Bucks County. Super normal childhood, high school. Played sports, but was never actually good at sports. But I decided I was going to become a nurse after my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer my junior year of high school. She is a survivor and my biggest role model.
Let's go, Mom.
So I decided I was going to go. Yes, I'm so proud of her. I was going to go to nursing school, but I hated blood. So I forced myself to watch surgeries and open heart stuff with a pillow. So I made it and I went to nursing school. I worked a couple years as a nurse down the street. Loved it. I love everything about the adrenaline of being a nurse and saving people and figuring things out. It's great. I met my now husband, who then decided he was going to move his business to Puerto Rico, and I quit everything, left it all behind, and followed him down. So we moved down there. We lived there for 4 years. We got married, had 2 kids, and it was amazing. If you've never been to Puerto Rico, I suggest everyone goes. It has a piece of my heart. I love it down there. So when our time down there was done, we realized that Pennsylvania was too cold after living on an island. So we relocated down to Raleigh. We love it. We have the beach one direction, mountains in the other. We have the Research Triangle Park. So it's amazing. Charlotte's not far. So we love it. We have 2 boys. My oldest will be 8 tomorrow, and our youngest is 6. So they keep us crazy busy. But yeah, so I'm currently not working as a nurse, but I do love it. But that's me. But my Burn, I guess, little history is I hated group workout classes. I could never stand them. I was always afraid somebody was going to judge me. So I would do like at-home Peloton stuff. But my big thing is I always did diets. So I always did the like Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig. I think I did like every single fad diet out there because I was convinced that I could eat instead of working out. So the end of 2021, I had 2 friends that begged me to try Burn with them. So I did. And I never took it serious. I kind of just did it for the rest of 2021, maybe half of 2022 as like a social thing. And I would go here and there. But at the beginning of last year, I give so much credit to our head trainer, Jenna, for doing a challenge and challenged us to go as many days in January as we possibly could. So I finished out last January of 2023 going every day. And then I finally realized what like a runner's high was. So my goal this year is 250, and it's not like if I'm going to camp today, it's when I'm going to camp today. So it's probably one of the favorite parts of my day.
Yeah, that is amazing. Thank the Lord for those 2 friends who kept nagging you to come in, and that's usually how it gets started. And that's it's so awesome that the January promotion that Jenna pushed on you guys is motivating, and you were able to create some consistency out of that. And it sounds like consistency was something that wasn't necessarily important before you got into January. You hit it. How many days did you hit in that January, by the way? Do you remember?
I think I only missed one
camp.
Okay,
so 30. So okay. Month. So you were on it, and then you felt, when you say you felt the runner's high, you're like, oh, I feel the effects of what it's like to come and feel this feeling multiple days in a row, and how it's okay. So I
like craved that feeling afterwards. Like I realized how much I liked how I felt afterwards.
Got it. So yeah, and that comes after big life changes, moving from Puerto Rico, obviously huge life change moving to Puerto Rico, which has its own fair share of positive and negative emotion that comes along with it. And then your family, just so I'm getting the timeline here, your family was built, you had children in Puerto Rico and then moved to Raleigh. Am I correct in saying that? Okay.
Yeah. There was Hurricane Maria and the Zika virus. So our kids were born back stateside. I had to leave, but they grew up a little bit on the island and spent some time down there.
Yeah, I love it. I love Puerto Rico. I've been there 3 times. It's beautiful, and highly recommend it. Well, that's great. So now that January promotion had you kickstarted into more consistent, and now it sounds like a healthy obsession to get to the gym 5 or 6 days a week. So great, awesome. Well, let's start here with the focus meeting today. Let's break it down into 2 categories for you. Before we do that, I need to ask one question. You could, I'll ask it in multiple ways so that you can take whichever way that resonates with you and you can answer it. So the first one would be, why focus meeting today? Why sit here with me? Why get online and spend your time doing this? Okay, that's one way to think about it. Or what do you desire the most? What challenges you the most? What's working? What's not working? Any rendition of that question, go ahead and kind of tell me what's working, what's not working, what's your vision, and let's get to the bottom of some needle moving adjustments today.
Yeah. So, I guess I left out a big factor, but so I wanted to do this the beginning of this year. I was at the age of 30, then 37, diagnosed with early menopause, which they call it premature, I forget what something. But yeah, so it was crazy. It was a shock. It was so weird. And I learned that not very many people are diagnosed with it. Not very many doctors are kind of, educated in it anymore. There was like a whole big thing back in the early 2000s. And so I didn't know what to do. My doctor was great, and she helped me get on stuff. And I started listening to podcasts, and they were drilling in my head all of this stuff. And I would go on these walks and just try to learn everything I could because I had no idea what was going on. And I started listening to a bunch of podcasts that were like, HIIT workouts are bad. They're terrible for you. Your cortisol. This is why you can't lose weight. And I actually turned on one of your podcasts when you went on about how it's great and how these people are just trying to basically brainwash you, and they don't have all the proper information. And I was like, oh, thank God, because I thought I was doing everything wrong by going to burn, that I shouldn't be doing this anymore. I shouldn't be doing HIIT workouts. And thank God I listened to your podcast, that episode, because you basically said that wasn't true. And then since then I learned the right people to listen to kind of get the right information about what's going on. But it's relatively new, and I kind of wanted to go on here because I know there's other women out there who either are experiencing what I'm experiencing and don't know what they're doing, or there's some that know what they're doing and what's going on, and that they can maybe help me and I can help them, and trying to figure this whole thing out together.
Yeah, well, definitely. And we'll make sure to plug your Instagram handle so people can get a hold of you if they themselves are diagnosed with early menopause or menopause in general at the normal time frame. Yeah, 37 is quite early and quite rare. So a unique situation that you've been put into is one that I'm sure that you didn't think when you were 35, that in 2 years you were going to be menopausal. And you're right. There's a lot of people that I think have a good heart and a good intention, but they're also trying to sell something, and their strategy in order to sell something is to not build the biggest building in town and make it the most obviously biggest building, but to tear other buildings down. And sometimes that comes in the form of fear mongering and trying to scare you and trying to, put things into your head that aren't necessarily the truth. And, the truth is, for most everything, that a healthy diet, right? Limiting your sugars, having the appropriate amount of water, appropriate small calorie deficit so that you don't keep body fat on, regular, like all the time, regular exercise, like a lot of these things, now you just get hormonal imbalances that cause you to feel differently about the same thing, right? That you used to feel was right for you. Now you might feel a little bit differently about it. But the truth is, and this is from my experience in talking to experts, that a lot of it, there's you walk with caution, but a lot of it is the same. There's adjustments. And I'd like to ask you, what was that your experience? And what adjustments did you make? What were some considerations that those who are listening to this that might be going through it could learn from your experience of like listening to all these people and then being like, okay, maybe let me take this with a grain of salt. Let me listen to DK. Let's see what he has to say. What did you conclude from all of your self-research, and how has it practically helped you?
Yeah. So I learned that bone health is like the most important thing. And one of the most important things you can do with that is weight training. And I had no idea. So I literally walk around telling everybody now that they need to lift weights or walk with a weighted vest. So I started doing that. That probably was my big change. My husband and I just bought weighted vests, and I can kind of adjust mine with different weights. And we walk around doing that. And I've started to try to make myself pick up heavier weights at the gym. I've had like a DEXA scan to measure my muscle and bone, to kind of keep on track with that. But that's been my mission, is telling everyone like, you're my age or even older and you haven't gone through menopause, but like lift weights, you have to lift weights, you have to lift weights. Like, please lift weights. I don't need us like broken hips and stuff like that, but I'm still trying to figure out the diet aspect of it. And I blame all of the diets I did along the way and all the fad diets I did along the way, like the one where you put everything in little cups. And I blame that for like not knowing how to eat.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I shouldn't eat this big plate. It's too much food. So that's still my biggest. I got the gym down, but I have no idea how to eat.
Okay, that's great. So we'll definitely dive into that. So what's working is that you are in the gym, you're consistent, you've got that piece dialed in. What's not working so far is there's lack of education around how to eat properly, make it convenient, not take 20 hours, to eat healthy, how to make it affordable, those types of things. Elaborate just to touch on that. Like, what does it mean when you say, I don't know how to eat? I'll ask a simple question and you can answer this or not. Please feel free to tell me, I don't know. Are you familiar with macros and how they make up calories?
Little bit. My husband and I recently started talking about that. And anytime I hear that, it just seems so overwhelming for some reason. And I know like what I have to eat and I start doing that, but it always just seems like too much food. And I think it's that like old diet culture back in my head that even though it's a big piece of chicken, it's still too much food and I shouldn't eat it.
So let's start with what are your physical goals, right? We have mental goals, we have a vision of our life and our careers. And, if you have 8 pieces to the pie and one of them is your physical body, what goals do you have for your physical body?
So I get the DEXA scanning done every like 6 months to a year. And my goal for that, is basically internal, not to let my bone health go down, but to also make my muscle go up. I've set goals at the gym. Like I want to do, 3 full pull-ups by the end of the year. I want to look like someone walks up to me and they can tell I go to the gym often. The sign up for the Level Up games, those kind of goals.
Ooh.
I can't believe I just said that. Jenn is going to come and get me now.
You snuck that one in. That's a good goal right there. Okay, now we're talking about.
I can hear her now. Yeah,
we're talking. Well,
but,
that's something that you could gain rather than something you have to lose, right? Because let's say that. Yeah. Let's just say like if you were honest with yourself and you looked at Jenn in the mirror, answer this question for me. Would you like to reduce body fat, or is Jenn good with where she's at, just wants to get stronger?
No, I would like to reduce body
Okay,
fat.
so that reduction has a negative association with it because it's like deficit, reduction. I've got things I have to do that I don't really want to do. I love that you're getting your mind focused on performance goals, that you're like 3 pull-ups, level up games, because what happens is when you're in that positive state of energy, what you need to do in order to do the level up games, right, is to move the most amount of weights around, right, in the most efficient way possible. And part of that formula is reduction of body fat in yourself, like for pull-ups, for example, because there's more weight when there's more body fat. And then now all of a sudden, in order to get better at pull-ups, one of the strategies I can do, not all of them, but one of them I can do is I can set a goal to reduce body fat. Well, how the heck do I do that without absolutely killing myself? Like, how to do it, but like, let's do it in a way that's sustainable. At Burn, we always say, do not change anything about your diet that you don't intend on keeping forever. Not that you have to keep it forever, but that you don't initially intend on keeping forever. So when we go do a keto diet or a fasting diet, it's like, oh, I'm going to fast for 3 days. Okay. And you've never done anything else before prerequisite to this 3-day fast? Like, maybe we shouldn't necessarily really start there. So I want to find a way for you to start to educate yourself around nutrition. Like, that's part of it. This part of the learning mechanism. We don't want you to rely on us, right? Like you relied on the 6-pack of, the cups, the colored cups. We want you to want to be at Burn, but we don't want you to have to be at Burn. Does that make sense? Right. So nutrition education is number one, but doing that through the lens of your pull-up goals. Specifically, let's just use the 3 pull-up goal, okay? And I won't commit you to the level up games. I'll let you and Jenna talk about that, but I'm pretty sure now that you said it on the podcast that you've just committed yourself. Yeah. But for all intents and purposes today, because it's more shorter term, and we can start to really tangibly see the results now, 3 full pull-ups. Okay, so if I can have 3 full pull-ups as my kind of vision for the next month or 2, then the next thing is I've got to learn about nutrition. Okay, what's going to help you get 3 full pull-ups? Well, it's recruiting and tearing down or breaking down the musculature that's associated in this instance with what's called a 2-lever movement. So your elbow and your shoulder are both moving in the pull-up, and we're going to want to feed the beast, right? So you're going to do the pull-ups, and then we want to feed it protein. Pull-ups and protein, pull-ups and protein, pull-ups and protein. So what I want to start with is this. And if you're ready to go into it now, we can do it now. Otherwise, I've got it noted, and we can go into it in a minute because I want to stay on what's working and what's not working. So you got your goals; they're physical. You have this self-awareness that there isn't a ton of knowledge and education around nutrition. One of the goals today is going to be to get you into a strategy that's simple and that's going to be effective toward your 3 full pull-up goals. Is there anything else that you want to discuss that's kind of working and not working?
No, I mean, I think my biggest working is just being able to go to the gym. And the not working is this whole menopause, figuring life out, but that's in its own.
Have you, before we jump into a strategy here, has there been any specific adjustments that you've made that you'd want other people to make regarding menopause?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely got lucky enough that my GYN did hormone replacement therapy with me. So I was able to start on that. And I learned that helps your muscle and your cardiac health and your bone health and all of this stuff. I think that was my biggest adjustment. I went from only taking supplements to having 2 medications that I have to schedule and how to set alerts on my phone for. But I think that was the huge adjustment that I had, and just the mental wrap your head around the whole concept.
Okay. So what type of HRT do you have? Do you know?
Yeah, I have a patch. So it's for the estrogen patch, and I have progesterone.
Okay. So
that I take in the evening.
So those are 2 separate. So there's no combined HRT. There's one progesterone and one estrogen. Okay. And one is a pill, one's a patch?
One's a pill, one's a patch. Estrogen's a patch.
Okay. What's your you and your doctor's agreement on time frame? How long that?
Like as long as I am feeling good. Yeah, that's the new.
Okay. And is that something that you are willingly accepting? Is that something that you would push back on, being on these things your whole life, or you're good with it?
I mean, I'm good with it. It sounds like a lot being 37 and changing a patch twice a week. I can't imagine by the time I'm in my 60s and still constantly doing this. But as of now, as long as I'm safe and, I just keep reading all these like bone health and hip fractures and Alzheimer's and cardiac conditions. And I'm like, oh, no, thank you. No, thank you.
Right. And listen, I'm not a doctor, right? And you should definitely listen to your doctor. And I'm just going to caveat by saying, probably just don't listen to me. All right. I have to get that out of the way or else I can get in trouble. But what I will say is that nutrition and proper nutrition is the cure all to all hormonal balance and imbalance. Now, if you're not properly balanced and then you go into early menopause or you go to menopause and you don't have a prerequisite history of hormonal balance in general, then it gets escalated immediately, right? Once you hit that phase of life. So for me, it's it's obviously your prerogative, but it is possible, and it has been done many, many times, where HRTs are short-term solutions. And as in your mind's in the right place, as you're thinking more about the energy that I'm putting into my body, my food, okay? Now, the hormonal profile over time, watch that, right? And you may want to consider a plan with your doctor to wean off, right?
Yeah, I would love that.
Right? And so that way your nutrition's ramping up, right? Your chemicals, the chemical soup that is your body is getting all the ingredients it needs to be clean, run efficient, have hormonal balance. I'm not saying something won't go wrong, but consider that, because that's one thing, is to come off over time in the future. It's a daunting thought to me personally to be on something for my whole life, especially when there's evidence out there of people who have gone through early menopause or even normal age, normal menopause, and maybe done this and then got off of it. So consider that. That, and I think the foundation to it is nutrition. So as we talk about nutrition, as you learn your nutrition, you start to become educated on it. Maybe it takes a couple years for you to like really connect how my nutrition helps with me hormonally and what foods I can eat to help my hormonal imbalance and things like that. So we'll start there today, but this is like I would say like a 2 to 5 year journey, somewhere in there. It's an arbitrary number of you learning. And, then you can make your own considerations with your medicine and how your body feels and all those things. But at least you have all the things you need to know in order to make the right decisions. Does that sound fair?
Yeah. I mean, that's my goal, is to learn everything I can and figure out what works best and what's working, what's not working, and learn as I go, I guess.
Okay. Good. All right. So let's talk about nutrition. First of all, let me ask you something. Have you ever logged nutrition for any period of time just to get an insight into what you're eating?
Yes, okay. I have. Our trainers have had me do it before for like focus meetings, and do it for like a week and see what's going on.
So what did you find there usually? And when's the last time you did it? How long did you do it? And what did you find?
I think I did it back in February, and probably for about 5 days. And I realized I'm not getting enough protein, and I'm probably not eating enough calories, but good calories, not junk.
Okay. Calories and protein. Well, that's a good place to start. So 5 days in February, you learned that there was did you have a caloric range that you were attempting to be in, or a protein allotment that you were attempting to have during those times? Or was this I'm just logging because I want to just log and see. I want to just discovery. I want to see what I'm eating. Or did you change your habits intentionally ahead of logging so that you knew that your log would be good?
Yeah, I tried to change before I started logging and trying to hit like that 100 of protein a day. And then I realized that with what I was eating before, that was really hard. And I was not close to that 100.
Okay. And where are you at today with it? If you had to.
On a good day, I'm still below 100. I find it really hard some days, especially just being busy and trying to eat on the go, getting 100 or over 100. Or if I get over 100, I'm feeling very like full and stuff.
Okay. Are you currently doing any supplementation, or is it all whole food based?
I do like a protein, collagen, and creatine after burn and all in a shake, but then everything else is food.
Okay, so you're using afterburn. Are you using whey or plant? Okay,
Plant.
so you're using plant, you have collagen, and you have creatine in there, and you're using that post-workout usually? Okay.
Yeah.
What are the times of day that you usually eat?
I'll eat like a quick cereal bar or something before the gym, and then I usually go to 8:30. So then I'll do that whole protein thing, and either by itself or in a smoothie with some yogurt and a bunch of other things when I get back. And then that's my issue, is then I kind of go throughout my day, and then it's like 5 o'clock and I'm getting dinner ready for the kids or off to soccer, and I'm like, I'm starving. And then I usually try to like bulk make something ahead of time. So then I eat whatever I have real fast, but then I realize I forgot a whole meal in the middle, or it's then 7:30 at night and I'm starving again.
Okay. All right. So I've got a couple things that we can start talking about here in a minute that can land the plane on this, but I have a couple more questions. So when you, to me, convenience is like the number one thing that we have to solve for. Because I could sit here and tell you all the things that you would already know. And it's like, yeah, I know that, but like, I've got soccer and I got this and I have this, and life happens. So we've got to figure out the most convenient way for you to actually consume your calories. Now, this is where the styles of nutrition come in. People say keto or fasting or intermittent fasting or all these things. All of that, that's all noise. So anytime you hear anything about the religion wars around dieting and all that, and how one side says keto's terrible and you're going to lose your hair and your fingernails are going to fall, and they say carbs are bad and you should never eat carbs because okay, that's two people trying to demonize and sell you something else, right? Just like you were talking about with menopausal stuff. So what we have to say is, what is the best way for me to control my caloric intake? Because it's calories in, calories out, number one. We've got to have a small deficit if we want to lose body fat so we can get up on that pull-up bar, right, more efficiently. And then quality of calories matters after that, and we'll talk about that. But so let's start there. We have to get down a total daily energy expenditure for you, okay? And then so we're going to get your TDEE, total daily energy expenditure. We're going to write that down, and then we're going to reverse engineer 100 to 500 calories below that, so that now you have a slight deficit. Okay. So just for your knowledge, the deficit will be 100 to 300, somewhere in there. Okay. It takes 3,500 calories to burn. You have to burn 3,500 calories to equal 1 pound, roughly. Okay.
Oh,
right.
Lord.
So that means if you had a 500 calorie deficit 7 days a week, you're going to burn 1 pound a week. That's too fast. This is where you're going to get deprived. This is where your energy is going to be low. I'm sure based on what you're telling me so far, some days you probably feel deprived when you get to the end of the day and you stimulated. So are you feeling that way at the end of the day? Sometimes like I'm so hungry, I'm just going to eat food.
Yes. I mean, sometimes I'll put the kids to bed and I'm like, I am starving. Give me some pretzels. And I'm like trying to be healthy but a rice cake isn't helpful.
Right. Do you enjoy those, by the way?
I do.
Okay,
I love
great.
them.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. I'm almost there. So I have maybe like one or two more questions. So convenience and time of day are really important for you. So let's just say we didn't change the times of day or the lifestyle at all. So you're telling me that first thing in the morning, big gap, and then the last thing you do is eat. So you're basically like a 1 meal a day type person right now. Maybe you're sprinkling in a snack or two if it's there and available and convenient.
Yeah, I start breakfast like real well with like either my protein shake or like adding yogurt and some like sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds and fruit to it. And then I don't know if it's because I'm eating at 9:30 that then it's, I'm not hungry, and then I'll eat something quick for dinner, and then, bedtime comes, and then I'm like, I missed a meal and now I'm hungry. Yeah, it's definitely convenience I always start off real well, and then it just.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
All right. That sounds good. So I'm looking through the lens of like eating windows, and I tend not to try to change those, especially when, you're on the beginning of the knowledge journey, of around what actually matters. Not all this noise that I hear about everything matters or this, what actually matters. What actually matters is convenience. So there's an AM eating window that you have and a PM eating window that you have.
Yeah.
So my advice to you is that we're going to structure this through the same windows. You're going to have the same time frames, because I don't want to interrupt your daily flow. Like, that's just one more thing as a busy mom and successful person that you're going to have to worry about. So does that sound good, that we can keep those two time frames, and then we can work within maybe those time frames to dial in calories?
Yeah. I mean, that's where I always end up. If I'm doing something midday, errand running or with the kids, I'm not going to like stop at a fast food place for lunch. That's not. So I just figure it out.
That sounds perfect. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. I have pulled up right now on my computer. For those of you that can't see, it's the TDEE calculator, Total Daily Energy Expenditure Calculator. And I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then I'm going to calculate your total daily energy. So gender is female. Age is what, if you don't mind?
38.
Your weight in pounds as of today?
130.
And your height?
5'3".
5'3". I'm on tdeecalculator.net. Everyone, will link that in the show notes in case you want to do this. Jenn is 5'3", and you're heavy exercise. I mean, you're 6 or 7 days per week, every single week, it sounds like.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So would you say you're more moderate or you're more heavy? You're more 3 to 5 days a week on average, or you're more 6 to 7?
6 to 7.
Okay, perfect.
If I'm not at Bird, we're walking with the vest.
Okay.
In our gym.
You don't need to know your body fat, but if you did know your body fat percentage, that would be a more precise calculation. Do you happen to know it?
I don't.
No
sorry.
worries. Okay. So your calories per day are about 2,137.
That's a lot.
Okay. That's how much energy you expend. Okay. Now, I can suspect that one of the issues that we're going to have is the fact that maybe if you've had some stubborn body fat for a while, that's your body saying, oh, there's menopausal hormonal elements of that as well that amplify, but it's not the foundational issue. The foundational issue is your body needs a certain amount of calories to function every day. And if we consistently and habitually do not give it that, well, our body has this weird mechanism in which it's going to hold on and retain your body fat. And as if, our survival brains of, the 2,000 years ago, when there's a famine and we can't hunt deer or eat plants for, 3 weeks, that, we hold on, store body fat, right? So that could potentially be at play here. So this is where you hear people saying we have to, eating less is almost just as worse as eating more, right? Now it's secondary to eating more, because eating more, the deficit you're going to keep packing on, but you could just have some stubborn body fat and it's not moving. And that might be because you're not giving your body the permission to release some of this energy that is stored as fatty adipose tissue that you can get rid of. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take your 2,137 calories and we're going to take a 250 calorie deficit off of that. Okay. So let's do that math really quickly. 2,137 minus 250 calories. And we're going to end up with let's see. I should be able to do this math right off the top of my head, but
I can't. You're fine.
1,187. So let's call it 1,900 calories. Okay. Now, when you were logging, how many calories were you logging on a daily basis?
like
Okay.
1,600.
So that's an extra 300 calories per day. And if you're at 1,600 and you're at 2,100 calories, that's a 500 calorie deficit. But if you get so when you're logging, you're going to have a tendency to be more disciplined in that calorie range. And then once you get like the hangries going at right before soccer practice or right after, you get the hangries going, you accidentally slip in 500, 600 more calories. Maybe it's not that dramatic. Maybe it's 400, but there's a tendency over time, especially when we're really hungry, unsatiated, to slip in extra calories. So that's likely happening. Or there's a tendency to overestimate how many calories you're eating when you log for one period of time, and then you come back and you're eating and you undereat because so one of those two things are happening. You layer the hormonal menopausal issues on top of that, stagnation starts to occur with body fat, and that seems to be what's happening now. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think you were right on when you were saying like storing your body fat in your body, not wanting to get rid of it, because I would do all the fad diets and I would like drop weight so easily. And I think now my body is like, oh, hell no, stop, calm down. Like, we're not doing this. And then I realized when I would track, I'd be way more disciplined on what I was eating and what I was doing. But then I would just be like, oh, it's fine, and just stop doing it after a couple of days. So I think that would probably be beneficial to pick up the habit.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I'm glad that's resonating. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere. Okay, so now 1,900 calories and you're at 600. Okay. It's going to seem a little bit mathy and sciencey and things like that at first, because we have to have, think about it this way. If we're going to learn a subject in college, if we're going to learn and educate ourselves about any given subject, you have to kind of read the textbook first, right? Get the foundation of how to react then when you're in real world practical situations. And so you're going to be in a phase like that. My recommendation is one hardcore 30-day dedication to what I'm about to, a little structure that I'm about to line up. That's the textbook. Like dive into the textbook for 30 days. Don't miss a day. Be super honest with yourself. Use the Lose It or MyFitnessPal app. I know you've used one before. And learn the foundations of how your body reacts to these things, because even what I give you is just going to be general until you go actually apply it. And then we can make some tweaks and make some adjustments. So a 30-day log is a lot. Okay. It's a lot, and it requires a level of dedication. So on a scale of like 1 to 10, how bad do you want to figure this stuff out?
Oh, like a 10.
Okay.
I mean, I got to figure something out.
So then that would make it pretty, if I could say, hey, at the end of 30 days, you're going to have all the things that you need to know in order to carry forward, you'd be willing to do that? Okay.
Absolutely.
So let's do that. Now, I absolutely despise logging as a lifestyle. Unless somebody is like, I'm obsessed with logging because numbers are my jam, and it makes me mentally happy to log. For me personally, it does not make me mentally happy to log. It's burdensome, but it's the pain that you have to go through. In my perspective, it's the pain you have to go through to get on the other side to where you now know what the log was telling you. Okay. So it'll be temporary, and maybe one every 6 to 9 months, maybe as you get good, once a year. Then you're going to go back to the log once a year, go back to the well, go back to the truth, go back to the foundation for once a year. Maybe at the beginning of the year, like in a January, February timeframe might be good, but that's obviously up to you. So we'll cut.
Okay.
So homework is we're going to commit to logging 30 days, and the same way you did ahead of your last one, we're going to give you a little framework, and then you're going to tell me, hey, DK, that doesn't work for me or my lifestyle, or that does work for me and my lifestyle. Sound good?
Sounds
right,
great.
So 1,900 calories will be the daily allotment. All right. But I'm not going to put you there. I'm going to give you a range, because ranges are much more doable to me than I have to do this amount of calories every day or else I failed. No, let's get a range. Okay. So let's put you in 1,800 to 2,000. That way we know that you're in a deficit on a daily basis. Okay. And you're already at.
That seems less daunting.
Yeah. That way you don't. And I don't want any of these numbers to be misperceived as I've got to exactly get this spot on. Okay. So then there's 3 macronutrients. Do you know what the 3 macros are?
now, and I
It's
should.
okay. No, this is great. This is part of the vulnerability that I appreciate about you being here today is learning these things starts with a foundation of honesty, right? So it's proteins, it's fats, and it's carbs.
Oh, right.
Easy,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
And then you have
Yes.
micronutrients, which are all the vitamins and minerals that aren't caloric. Vitamin A,
Okay.
vitamin B, zinc, all the minerals that are in our replenish product, magnesium, sodium, all those things. Okay. So you don't necessarily need to know this to execute, but I'm going to help you just give an intro to it so that you know what's going on behind the scenes and how these Lose It apps work. So protein is worth 4 calories per gram. Carbs are worth 4 calories per gram. And fats are worth 9 calories per gram. So that's why sometimes when you can like eat 2 scoops of peanut butter and you log it and you're like, what just happened? My log just went wild. Well, that's because it's double plus some the amount of calories per gram. So every gram of protein is going to have 4 calories. Every gram of carbohydrate is going to have 4 calories. And every gram of fat is going to have 9 calories. Okay. Then all we're doing is we are reverse engineering from our protein goal. So we're going to set a protein goal. All right. Now, 100, as you know, is the Burn Boot Camp baseline. Every human gets 100 grams of protein. Would you rather shoot for an ideal amount of protein as you're going to go over the next 30 days? Or would you rather start at the most doable baseline at 100? Or would you rather have a recommendation that says, hey, here's probably what's optimized given the fact that you're working out 6 days a week that hard?
I mean, I guess, 100 is minimum, but what, would be optimal to go up to?
Perfect. Okay. So we're going to give you a range there too. Okay. And remember, calories and protein, carbs, fat, the grams are going to be correlated with the calories, right? So as protein is at 100, times 4, that's 400 calories from protein, right? You follow me? Okay. So we're going to go from 100 to 150. Okay. That's your range. Okay. I'm going to give you some very practical and easy ways to get this in some examples. So it doesn't seem like it is a lot. You're right. But there's sneaky ways to get in where the volume of consumption doesn't feel necessarily like it's a lot. Okay. All right. So, So let's go 150 times 4 equals 600 calories. All right. And to 400. So 400 to 600 calories when your log shakes out are going to be from protein. Okay. All right. And then on your 2000, let's start at 1800. So 1800 calories. Okay. So 33%. So if you had 600, I know I'm mathing a lot and I'm going to wrap this up so it's not confusing. I'm just trying to let you into my brain and how I'm working these numbers out. So if I had 150 grams of protein, that's 600 calories from protein. That means 33% of my diet actually comes from protein. Okay. What we're going to aim for in the long run is a range of 40 to 45 grams from protein, just roughly. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So if I took my 150, if I took my 100 times, let's see, okay, 40% times 1.4. Okay, so if I did 40%, now I'm upping my protein above 150. Okay, so there'll be a future state to this. Now, what I want you to do from here, okay, is one other thing. So it's protein grams. We're not going to go into carbs and fat. It's like when you get your protein, everything else will be in alignment. Okay. The only thing you have to worry about is where your carbohydrates come from. And so it's 100 and 150 grams of protein and it's less than 25 grams of added sugar. Okay. Those are the two big keys. Got it? Okay.
Yes.
So 1,800 to 2,000 calories, 100 to 150 grams of that from protein, and then let the remainder of your food fall where it may, for now while we're logging. And those carbohydrate sources can't be cookies, candies, cakes, right? Fruits,
Yes.
veggies, fibrous carbohydrates. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's talk about those 2 food windows. Okay. So your goal is to get 150, let's just say, grams of protein. We'll shoot high. That way, if we come low, that'll be good. All right. Here's my recommendation. You love rice cakes.
Yes.
I do too. They're amazing. And they're also very, very beneficial for healthy and happy consumption of food. Okay. Because they taste good and they're crunchy, and it's like the change out, eat this, not that, eat a rice cake, not a potato chip, right? Okay. So here's my recommendation. The first thing that you do when you get up, within 30 minutes of waking, the first thing that you do is a double scoop of Afterburn.
Okay.
With 1 or 2 rice cakes. Okay, that's your that's your big eating window. That's the main staple to your eating window in the morning. Okay.
Okay.
We've got to get 1,800 to 2,000 calories basically within 2 meals, right? So this then means each meal needs to be no less than, about like 900 calories or so. Now, that's a lot of food in one setting. Now,
it's a lot of food.
It's a lot of food in one setting. Now, if it's your lifestyle that's constricting these windows, so be it, right? You could also extend the time in the morning to where it's hey, I got 2 hours in the morning, and I get my workout right in the middle of that, but I'm going to do this in the morning. I'm going to do 2 scoops. That's 46 grams of protein right there. If you did 2 scoops right away. And let's say my eating window in the AM was my pre-workout shake and then my post-workout, my post-workout meal. So between those 2 things in that window in the morning, I got to shoot for, 900 calories. And that's my eating window before you go into the day. I'm not saying in one meal. You see the the difference there?
Yeah. Like before and after the gym.
Just like it's like a 2 or 3 hour window that you have before you get your day going, where you're like super, super busy and life is hitting you. That's where you have to consume those calories. And then the same type of window in the evening. So by doing that in the morning, you're knocking out 1/2 of your protein goal, right away, right there in the morning. And let's just say theoretically, I'd like you to mix up your protein sources for sure. You should, supplements are supplements for a reason. They should be supplements to the whole food diet. But I've gotten people started a lot of times just by hey, just get the protein in any way, anyhow. A lot of people like to do double scoop in the morning, double scoop in the evening. I'd like you to get off that at some point, but there's your 100 grams right there, and it's all liquid, and it's not gonna fill you up that much, right? You're gonna be able to get it down. So food selection will be on you for the morning, but the staple food is, let me get that double scoop in. And then you could also in the future make things like, there's not just one way to cut it. In the future, you could make 3 cupcake style pans of egg white bites, and you could just put those in your fridge, and you could just mash those right in the morning, and you also get your protein in that way. So we just got to get to 50 grams in the AM window, and then we just got to get to 50 grams in the PM window, and the whole structure will be around protein. And that's probably, taking all this math and numbers that we're doing, that's the simplest way to put it. Get 50 grams here, get 50 grams here. Don't even worry about eating during the middle of the day, and pack it into those windows. Now it's your turn. Tell me what type, talk to me about your diet and what you like to eat, and talk to me about what you envision your AM window being and what you envision your PM window being.
So doing the protein powder in the morning, I never even thought to do that. So usually when I come from the gym and I'm eating yogurt, and I've started putting chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds, all the sunflower seeds, all that good stuff in there, into a yogurt, and then trying to drink protein, I get so full. So I mind blown about just separating them before and after the gym, and I can get more in there. Evening, I gave up red meat a while ago. It just wasn't making me feel well, which I feel like is a huge deficit because it has so much protein in it. But I basically just am like chicken, turkey. I've tried to start doing like lentils and other beans for that. But that's usually my evening is like some sort of like chicken or turkey, ground turkey, and then whatever veggies are in the house, kind of all just thrown together and maybe thrown with like an avocado or salsa or something. I meal prep for everyone else in the house, and then I just get tired and just start throwing stuff together for myself.
Right. Yeah. No.
Everyone else has great meals in my house, and I just am lazy.
Well, yeah, it's the 5 Ps, right? Poor preparation, right? Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Proper preparation prevents
Yes,
yeah,
that's
right?
me.
Okay, so we all deal with that in different areas of our life. Yours just has to be with me with this. And the thing is that you're 10 out of 10 here. So there's some of this that just has to be done, and we have to reverse engineer how to get it done, and then to normalize that new lifestyle to where your body will respond over time. But when you're eating dairy and you have, is it dairy yogurt?
Yeah, it's just plain Greek yogurt.
So when you are consuming dairy, it's very satiating. The fats in it are very satiating, and so you'll get full pretty quick. So just by eliminating that, which maybe eliminate is a strong word, and if you enjoy it, keep doing it, but do it maybe at a different time, right? Like the first thing is get that bioavailable protein in, right? Get that bioavailable protein in the morning, 46 grams. Keep doing your creatine. Collagen is in your shakes, it sounds like, as well. You can continue to put that in your shakes, but that is for ligaments, hair, nails, connective tissue, not for skeletal muscle tissue. Okay, so there's two different sources. Not all proteins are created equally, but you more than certainly can count that. Okay, you more than certainly can count it. So then we have to figure out throughout 30 days. It's just what are the 4 to 5 groups of foods. 2 double scoop of protein, a handful of, cashews, almonds. I'll keep, what I do is I keep Eggland's Best egg whites, like whole hard-boiled eggs, and I'll have like 3 of those. That's 8, 16, 24 grams if you just ate the egg whites. Those things they're not that great, but they're also, if you're eating them with like something else, you can kind of sneak them in behind. You might not like this one, but another sneaky way to get protein in is to you make like your smoothie or something like that, and you sneak egg whites in it. Just put the raw egg whites in it. You can't taste it. It actually makes it a lot more frothy, in my opinion, and it's hidden. But if you're pouring pure liquid egg white into a smoothie and you can't taste it, you can get 20 extra grams of some of the best protein available. You might want to consider at least trying that. But there's so many ways to carve out getting the protein in, but fat will satiate you. So you want to be satiated from protein. That's what's going to the way that protein will metabolize tends to keep you more satiated further out in the day. Right. Okay. So that protein and that when you wake up basically is a key. So the double protein shake, the rice cakes, and then you can maybe look at the fatty things like the yogurts or the chia seeds. Like no wonder you're full, because it's full of, caloric. Remember, 9 calories per gram, not 4. So just think about it. It's like twice as filling as something else might be. Okay. Is that helpful for the AM window?
Yeah. I mean, I'll try the egg whites. I'll try them.
Just give it a shot. Right. And then it's like, be a protein hunter throughout the day, right? Like think about what I'm going to eat for, I keep a bag of beef jerky with me at all times. I know that you said no red meat. There's turkey jerky as well. There's other forms of it. Hey, you might have a little bit of added sugar in there, but if you could have a serving of that in the middle of the day, there's another 20 grams right there, right? So I've got 40 in the morning, 20 in the middle of the day as a snack when I can, and I come back and get 40 or 50 more for my dinner. You're in your allotment, and it's not so hard to do. about 6 ounces of protein, or like one small, like normal, like size chicken breast is about 40 grams of protein, right? So just chopping up one chicken and eating it, you're pretty good. So hopefully this is helpful in terms of protein selection and just kind of staying focused on that.
Yeah. I mean, I like the idea of hiding it in something that I'm not feeling like I'm just eating hunks of chicken or something like that.
Yeah, you don't want to feel like you're just like, oh, okay, well, healthy nutrition is boiled chicken and baked broccoli. Like, who wants to live that lifestyle? I certainly do not.
Yeah, no, I like food variety that would just get, and I've done that. I've done the boiled chicken. It's not fun.
No, it's not. You can dress up quinoa instead of rice because quinoa has protein in it and it's higher in protein. You can eat almond butter instead of regular butter, right? If you like, wheat toast or like live enzyme, flourless from the ground type toast, like an Ezekiel bread or something like that, you rather than putting a bunch of peanut butter on it, or rather put it like a butter, like a slice of stick butter on it or something. Like, I'm not sure if you ever do that, but then you could just put a little almond butter on top instead, and it's just these little pops of protein too could also help. And a lot of times, Jen, I'll eat breakfast for dinner too, because I'll just repeat what I'll do often is just repeat my AM and PM. I'm very much like you. Like, I don't, during the middle of the day, don't ask me to make a meal. Don't ask me to make a meal. My AM is almost similar to my PM. And I almost like, as you log, think about it in a modular format, right? Like, what are the 4 things I can put together that I can always put together no matter what? And what are 8 versions of that I can interchange for these 2 slots? And you can actually start playing in the app with like 2 scoops of protein powder, a rice cake, a banana, and a 20 almonds or whatever. Yeah, and you can actually just start to have 8 go-to meals that are rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Do you like to eat the same things? Oh, no. You said you like variety. Yeah.
And then when you just said a bunch of things, I can, if I have 2 ideas for breakfast that are always available, kind of just switch them in and out when you get bored.
For sure.
Kind of a
there's
thing.
There's this recipe that we have on the Burn Bootcamp blog, and you could look at it after if you want to, but it's very simple. It's called the egg turkey casserole. And you basically brown turkey or brown any lean meat that you'd want. We use all types of different lean meat. So you brown it and then you put it in a baking pan, and then you buy like cubed sweet potatoes from like Harris Teeter or wherever your grocery store is. And then you put the ground turkey in with the sweet potatoes, and then you pour egg whites over the top of it, and then you bake it. And then what happens, is then it takes like 10 minutes to put it in the oven, and then 2 minutes to get it out, like 40 minutes later or something like that. But you come out with 8 squares of basically pure protein with a pop of sweet carbohydrates from the sweet potato. And you want to talk about like a delicious muscle building food, you can add like sides of hot sauce or ketchup. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Watch your added sugars. But that turkey casserole, like just making that, that's a lifesaver for so many people. That's breakfast or dinner for 4 days. And it's so good. And it's so good as well. So so we can stop there. Do you have any questions, or do you want to kind of recap this from your perspective? What things, I know I talked a lot. Now it's time to like synthesize and get clarity and like, let's make an action plan moving forward.
No, I mean, I think definitely, again, as silly as it sounds, I never would have thought to do protein powder, right? When I wake up in the morning and it's just simple. And then what you were just saying about the turkey and all recipe, I could eat that for breakfast. I could eat that for dinner. And that's simple. I think I always just think protein, and I always just think protein powder and like just pieces of chicken, not adding other things or switching it up. But I definitely think if I focus on the protein and getting that number, that, like you said, everything else will follow.
It'll all fall in line, unless one caveat, it won't fall in line if what happens?
I don't track.
Close. What if you do track? We talked about the S word, the other word, protein and sugar. Yeah,
sugar?
Right. So like if your calories, if you're eating a lot of sugar,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have trouble regardless. Right.
Okay.
So it doesn't sound like you do a lot anyways. Yeah.
No, I mean, occasionally we bought a Ninja Creamy, and occasionally I like myself some protein ice cream, but
It's
not on
it's
the right.
protein ice cream. And here's here's where calories come in, that you could eat 8,000 calories of chicken breast and have all the protein in the world, but that's still excess energy in your body. You're not going to metabolize 8,000 calories worth of protein. You're going to have some leftover storage of body fat from your body not being able to utilize it all. So it's very important. Calories in, calories out. Number one, 1,800 to 2,000. Secondarily, 100 grams of protein. The third thing is less than 25 grams of added sugar, and modularizing your actual meals. So your homework would be, through 30 days, write down on paper 8 to 10 AM blocks that can be interchangeable with PM blocks. And these are your 8 to 10 go-to blocks for your lifestyle. And let's start there, because I think what will happen is you'll get a lot of simplicity out of that. Now, the logging side, 30 straight days, honesty is the best policy here. If you eat the candy, because what happens with the candy and those occasional things, well, it doesn't sound like you're over consuming sugar, but what can happen is you could be on point for 11 days straight, and then you can eat that entire bag of Skittles or whatever, and now that's 3,000 calories, which wiped out your deficit for the last 3 weeks, right? So it's gotta be consistently every single day feeding your body the amount of calories. And I would say, even if you do have one of those cheat days or sweet treats or whatever, count it and then make adjustments so that you still stay within your calorie allotment. Eat those things. Don't deprive yourself. Just stay within your calorie allotment, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So here's what's going to happen, Jen. You're going to go through 30 days. You're going to come up with your 8 to 10 blocks. It's going to be hard to get that food in first, but you're going to keep on it. Your body will get used to it. Your body will start to crave it. And then we're going to pull back up, and we're going to have another focus meeting, and we're going to say, what did I learn? What worked? What didn't work? How am I feeling with my hormone replacement therapy? How is my newfound nutrition interacting with my body over the last 30 days? And we can come back and we can examine your food log. We can examine your meal blocks. We can examine all the things, and we can take the next step forward if you would like to do that.
Yeah, that sounds great. I like being held accountable.
Yeah, no, this is what I want to do on the podcast, is have people that really want it at a 10 out of 10 like you do, and that are willing to make the adjustments, and that then people can see the real-time adjustments playing out, right? And so, you have a nutrition piece, right, to go with the pull-up piece. And I think that's a great start. Relay this to Jenna, and start logging, and just be honest with what you put in there, and we'll pull up. I'll look at it. You can send them to me. Right after we get off the podcast, I'll give you my cell phone number. That way you can text me all of the logs as you're doing it on a daily basis, right? Just fire them off to me every day, and we'll communicate from now till then. And what I'd love to do is bring you back to a focus meeting here after we're done, and for you to recap, for me to talk less and you to talk more, and for you to tell me what you learned and how it interacted with your body and the situation of early menopausal diagnosis that you're going through. Sound good?
Sounds great. That sounds great. Yeah, let's do it.
That sounds really good. So let's end this with advice that you can give to members in Burn Nation, because so many people appreciate you coming here and talking it out with me, because they are taking a lot of this away and going to execute this themselves. What advice do you have for people on mastering consistency in the gym? Because you have mastered consistency. You are in the gym 6 days a week, if not 7, like you said, doing something else. And that usually is what people try to master first. And you're now moving on to the step of nutrition. We'll master that. You can come back and give some advice on that. But what is your advice for those struggling with just consistency and having an intention to get in the gym, but continuously breaking the promise to themselves?
I have a group of people that are regularly usually at 8:30 with me. And it's one of those, like, someone will text, like, I'm not going to be at 8:30, I'm going to noon, and kind of holding each other accountable. So we've had those, like, accountability partners that if I'm not there, someone's asking where I am, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to noon, don't worry, or 4:30. Just having that accountability. My husband's started that. If I'm not at the gym at 8:30, he's like, when are you going? Or like, when are you working out? And not, are you? And that's been super helpful. Kind of him framing it that way, or friend, like, you need to take the kids to do this because I have to work out. And he's like, okay, like, that's both our understanding. So I think the number one is finding a group of people or somebody holding me accountable to being there. I wouldn't do it if someone wasn't looking for me or telling me to go.
Yeah, no, that's accountability. That the ability to have people that hold you accountable. What you're saying is what keeps you going on the days that you don't want to. And I'm sure there's days just like us all where you don't want to and I don't want to, even though we love it and we have a healthy obsession. It's still like, Jenna's going to be ride me, or Beasley's going to be ride me today. All right, well, I guess I'll get there anyway.
There are days I roll my eyes or I'm, pouting away there, but I'm like, at least I'm here. At least I'm doing it. I might not be doing it, 100%, but I'm still doing something.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you being here more than you know. And I've got to get to Briar Creek and see you guys. I know it's just a couple hours away in Raleigh. I definitely will do that. I want to put together starting next year sometime. I've been to all the gyms, but so there's a little over 400. I've been to all of them, but 150. So I have this tour that I'm going to go on where I'm going to go catch myself up and get to all of the other ones. We've been outgrowing my ability to travel. So that's a blessing, but also I hate that there's gyms I haven't been to because I just love spending time with you all.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun podcast. Travel.
That's
tour.
right. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we can keep in touch and you can come back on and we'll keep the focus meetings going and I'll come see you in Briar Creek and maybe you'll be well beyond, I know you'll be at 3 and adhere to this protein intake and you'll be well beyond 3 before you know it, because you never know how strong you can get and how fast you can get strong until you've had the adequate amount of protein in your body every single day for an extended period of time. So I'm excited for you.
I'm excited to see what happens, and I guess try a pull-up.
Yes. Just start trying them. Just start trying them. Get up on that bar and start trying
I have
them.
A bar staring at me in the doorway.
Okay.
So yeah.
I had a focus meeting with somebody else here not too long ago, a gentleman named David, and that was his goal. And my advice to him was hang on the bar for 30 seconds until you can do it for like a week straight at 30 seconds. You want to hang up on that bar. Just like this, chin over the bar, just hang and hold, no bands. Just hold it. Don't try to do reps with bands or anything like that. But if you can get up there and hold it, count your seconds, do that a couple times a day, 2 or 3 times a day. Time under tension will recruit the muscles that you need in order to get strong, and you'll be able to do one before you know it. We will. Okay, so we'll stay in communication. Stay on the line. I'll give you my number so that we can communicate and you can get back here. But to everybody else that's listening, thank you guys for being here. Jenn, where can we communicate with you on Instagram if somebody is going through menopause or early menopause and they'd like to reach out and build community with you, or just a burn sister or burn bro that thinks this conversation was great and maybe wants to join the 30-day journey with you and get your advice on how it went in terms of logging their nutrition, where can they find you?
Yeah, it's my name. So it's Jenn with 2 N's, JENN.Robert, ROBERT.
Okay, Jenn.Robert on Instagram, everybody. Don't be surprised if you start getting some DMs, okay?
I mean, anyone who wants to do it with me, I'll take more accountability partners.
Yeah, that sounds really good. So hit her up and you guys can do it together. Thank you, Burn Nation, for being here. We'll take it out like we always do. 2 claps on 2. 1, 2.